Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Absolute100 here, coming at you guys today with a new Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. Today's profile is going to be an update on my Gravekeeper's deck for the new October 2014 format, and basically for the new post-challengers set, because we have a new barrage of archetypes in the mix ever since I last profiled Gravekeepers. So I've basically updated it in order to combat with what today's format has to offer. So at the end of the video, just let me know what you guys think of the deck. Any changes or recommendations are more than welcome. So like this video if you're a huge fan of Gravekeepers, and also subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. That's pretty much it. No need to do too much of a description on Gravekeepers, because almost everyone should know what Gravekeepers are and what they do at this point. But if you guys want to at least learn about what Gravekeepers are, I can leave a link to their wiki page in order for you guys to pretty much get a grasp on what the Gravekeeper strategy is all about. But for now, I'm just going to get straight into the deck and just hope you guys enjoy. Alright, for one-ofs and Gravekeepers, I'm running one Gravekeeper's Assailant, one Gravekeeper's Ambusher, one Gravekeeper's Guard, one Gravekeeper's Heretic, and one Gravekeeper's Shaman. These are my single Gravekeepers that I'm running throughout the entire deck. And I'll pause for a sec and explain these two cards right here. These are cards that I don't have just yet, but I will get them eventually. So what I'm doing right now for cards that I don't have, but I will get eventually, is basically proxying these cards in order to fill in the voids, so that you know what cards are in the deck. If you guys saw my previous deck profile on my Cybermachina Gears, you'll notice that I did pretty much the same thing for that particular deck. So I'm going to pretty much do the same thing for this video as well, because in the description bar you'll see image links to all of the cards that are proxied throughout the entire deck, so you can have a gander at what they actually look like and what their effects are. Alright, back to the profile. One Assailant, really good at least dealing with problematic monsters. While Necrovalley is out on the field, you can switch an opponent's monster battle position that is face up. So if you want to attack a Winda and your only card is Assailant, you can pretty much use Assailant's effect, switch El Shaddoll Winda to defense position and run it over. Gravekeeper's Ambusher, once it's flipped face up, you can select one card in your opponent's graveyard, return it to the deck, to the bottom of the deck, and when it's destroyed by battle after being flipped face up, you can select one Necrovalley card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So Ambusher is really helpful in the sense that it can recycle your Necrovalleys as much times as possible, for as long as you can use Ambusher's secondary effect to the maximum extent. Gravekeeper's Guard, really simple flip effect monster. You basically select one opposing monster and return it to the hand. Gravekeeper's Heretic, while Necrovalley is out on the field, Heretic is unaffected by any kind of card effects that you can think of. And if you guys are hearing a beeping, it's a darn truck that's somewhere outside. And Gravekeeper Shaman, its effect is this card gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper's monster in the graveyard. Negate all monster effects that activate in the graveyard except for Gravekeeper monsters. And while Necrovalley is on the field, your opponent cannot activate field spells, nor can field spell cards be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So these cards alone are really helpful in the deck, at least in certain stages and points throughout the entire game. Shaman is basically a walking soul drain for the most part. That's it for the singles of Gravekeepers. Onto the multiples. Triple Commandant. He's your Necrovalley searcher of the deck. 1600 attack, goes up to 2100 under the effects of Necrovalley. Commandant really good in the deck. Double Gravekeeper's Descendant. You tribute another Gravekeeper's and you target a card and destroy it. Gravekeeper's Descendant is just really awesome in that aspect alone. Originally, I was running 3 in my Gravekeeper's beatdown strategy, but for a control-based strategy of Gravekeepers, 2 Descendant is pretty much a perfect ratio overall. Next, triple Gravekeeper's Recruiter. He's your mass searcher of the entire deck because he can search pretty much your entire Gravekeeper arsenal except for Spy. Gravekeeper's Recruiter can search any Gravekeeper monster from your deck and add it to your hand that has 1500 or less defense. So Recruiter really helps searching out your Commandant, your Shaman, pretty much any of your other Gravekeeper monsters. Oh, and except Gravekeeper's Guard as well. Well, because his defense is 1900. The last Gravekeeper's monster in multiples, we have Gravekeeper Spy. MVP in the monster lineup of Gravekeepers. Really simple flip effect to understand. You special summon one Gravekeeper's monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck, and that's pretty much it for Gravekeeper Spy in that sense. Defense is 2000, under Necrovalley 2500. Really difficult for most monsters to run over. Really difficult for most decks this format to run over, except for maybe Cleafort's and Cleafort's Abyss. Basically the new decks that are out right now. It's not too difficult for them to deal with Spy, but Spy is really awesome and somewhat key in the Gravekeeper deck. And one Malefic Stardust Dragon to add extra protection to the field spell of Necrovalley. Both Malefic Stardust Dragon and Shaman can work together in that whole genre of field spell protection. That's it for the monsters. On to the spells. We have one Allure of Darkness, one Book of Moon, and one Raigeki. Allure of Darkness. I'm running a good amount of darks in the deck, so it pretty much makes sense to run this card. Book of Moon, really helpful in the sense that it can reflip my Spy, reflip my Guard if I need to get another special summon or another bounce on my opponent's side of the field. And Raigeki, because this card is freaking awesome at dealing with my opponent's monster lineup, or big board presence of monsters. Then to the multiples of spells, triple Necrovalley, absolutely necessary to run triple Necrovalley. Necrovalley's effect is all Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Cards in either player's graveyard cannot be removed from play, and cards in either player's graveyard cannot be affected by card effects except for their own effects. So triple Necrovalley, pretty much the key piece throughout the entire Gravekeeper deck. It's the one card you want to try and keep live as long as possible throughout the entire duel. A lot of decks struggle against Necrovalley. Most decks these days don't have that much of a problem with Necrovalley, but if you're smart, you're able to pretty much hinder them a lot with this card. Against Shaddolls, it's a little bit of a problem if they send Shaddol Dragon to the graveyard and they pop Necrovalley, but besides that, a lot of the other monsters in the Shaddol matchup aren't too much of a issue to deal with. Next, we're running 2 Gravekeeper Stele, or Stele, however you want to call it. Really simple, you just add two Gravekeeper monsters from your graveyard and add them back to your hand. Unaffected by Necrovalley, and also the Gravekeeper's Ambusher, also unaffected by Necrovalley. These two copies of this is pretty much standard. I wouldn't recommend running more than three of these unless you're pretty much going to bump the deck count of Gravekeepers to 60 or something. But Gravekeeper Stele 2 is absolutely perfect. Next, double Mystical Space Typhoon. Generic back row removal. Eliminate problematic cards. chain this to an opposing Vanity's Emptiness if they try and prevent my Spy from activating. And 2 Pot of Dualities for added consistency to the deck. That's it for the spells. Onto the traps. For the simple ones everyone knows about. Bottomless, Compulsory, and Solemn Warning. No need to explain these. For multiples, I'm running double Breakthrough Skill and double Fiendish Chain. A lot of monster negation. For breakthrough skill, you're able to use its effect essentially twice. However, if Necrovalley is out on the field, you won't be able to use its secondary effect. But if this card's in your graveyard before you activate Necrovalley, or if Necrovalley is off of the field, you can go ahead and use Breakthrough's secondary effect. Next, 2 Dark Bribes. Some of you may ask on why I'm not running Wiretap, or why am I not running Wiretap? For a few reasons. For one good reason, I like Wiretap in the sense that it basically doesn't destroy the opposing trap card and negates it, just returns it back to the deck. So I see it being a really awesome card overall against some artifacts, against the Artifact Sanctum especially. But I prefer running Dark Bribe over Wiretap, mainly because Dark Bribe can hit both a spell and trap card activated by my opponent, and I really don't care if my opponent draws a card because I'm essentially just negating their key card that they activated on me. But and also I really don't care if my opponent activates Sanctum against me, because with Breakthrough Skill and Fiendish Chain in the deck, I can pretty much negate their Moral Tech or their BL Tech and not worry about negating or destroying their Artifact Sanctum. But besides that, 2 Dark Bribe has worked really well so far in the deck. And finally, 2 Deep Prison to round out the trap lineup and the deck. That's it for the main deck, 40 cards in all. Onto the extra deck. We'll just breeze through it real quick. 1 Armades, Keeper of Boundaries. A card in my side deck will pretty much explain why this card is in here. And 1 Stardust Dragon to go with the Malefic. Stardust Dragon. Next, for Xyz monsters, you can run whatever Xyz monsters you want for this deck. These are just cards that I have on hand. 1 Ghostrick Alucard. Number 30 Acid Golem. Number 47 Nightmare Shark. And Wind-Up Zenmaines for the rank 3s of the Xyz monsters. For rank 4s, 1 Abyss Dweller, Castel, the Skyblaster Musketeer, Diamond Direwolf, Gagaga Cowboy, Gemini Pearl, number 39 Utopia, number 50 Black Ship of Corn, and number 82 Heartland Draco, and Wind-Up Zenmaines to round out the extra deck. For the side deck, and this is pretty much just for the entire meta that I can deal with. We have double Effect Veilers. Now you know why there's an Armades in the extra deck. Double Falsidinas. Really good against special summon heavy decks. Double Defusion, pretty much for the Shadal matchup. 1 Royal Tribute and 1 System Down. Royal Tribute is really helpful for this format, I feel, because aside from dealing with Shadals and Burning Abyss, this card is really helpful at eliminating my opponent's monster lineup in their hand that they would have used on me at the start. Say at the start of the duel, you can pretty much set up your board with Necrovalley and activate this and eliminate your opponent's. If they have an all monster hand, they pretty much start with nothing. So Royal Tribute is really helpful. Against Cleave Forts, Royal Tribute can eliminate all of their monsters in their hand before they even set foot on the field. And basically, since they're all Pendulum monsters, this would eliminate their aspect of starting up their Pendulum scales. And System Down, this was basically my last slot that I had to figure out what to fill in for it. And I thought of System Down. What it does, you pay 1,000, remove all face-up machine-type monsters that are on the field, and all machines in the graveyard. So again, this is basically for the Cleave-4 matchup. If they have a bunch of Cleave-4s out on the field, except for Cleave-4 towers afterwards, unless it's been hit with Skill Drain, because if Skill Drain was out on the field before Cleave-4 towers, then System Down will pretty much deal with towers. But System Down will deal with all of the on-field Cleave-4s that are currently on the field. With Necrovalley, this card is somewhat hindered that you can't remove any machines from the graveyard, but that doesn't really matter. And if Necrovalley is not on the field, you can pretty much remove everything from the Cleave-4 engine. And against the Cleave-4 matchup, both Royal Tribute and System Down can really work well with one another. Next for the traps, 1 Soul Drain, pretty self-explanatory. Stop key graveyard effects. Double Fairy Wind against Cleave-4s, against other face-up spell and traps. That can be your problem for this deck. You also get to deal damage at the same time. 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors. Satella Knights are going to be a really competitive deck for the rest of this format. I just guarantee it from my standard. And 2 Stygian Dirk to round out the side deck. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed today's deck profile. Let me know in the comments on what you think of the entire deck. Any changes and recommendations are more than welcome. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me, and that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed.